Welcome back. Yesterday we began considering James's use of Elijah as an illustration regarding effective and fervent prayer. We saw that James reminds us that Elijah was just a normal person who trusted and obeyed God. Today we will transition into considering a portion of Elijah's prayer life and then, Lord willing, consider a couple of other individuals. I want to read this portion from James one more time as he introduces this situation, if you would, of Elijah's life. James 5, verses 13 to 18. Is anyone among you suffering? Let him pray. Is anyone cheerful? Let him sing psalms. Is anyone among you sick? Let him call for the elders of the church, and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer of faith will save the sick, and the Lord will raise him up. And if he has committed sins, he will be forgiven. Confess your trespasses to one another, and pray for one another, that you may be healed. The effective, fervent prayer of a righteous man avails much. Elijah was a man with a nature like ours, and he prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and it did not rain on the land for 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth produced its fruit. The exact account that James is referring to in this passage is given to us in 1 Kings chapter 17. I'd like to read the first 16 verses of that in order for us to then see the context that James is referring back to. And Elijah the Tishbite of the inhabitants of Gilead said to Ahab, As Yahweh, Elohim of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, except at my word. Then the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, Get away from here and turn eastward, and hide by the brook Cherith, which flows into the Jordan. And it will be that you shall drink from the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed you there. So Elijah went and did according to the word of Yahweh. For he went and stayed by the brook Cherith, which flows into the Jordan. The ravens brought Elijah bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook. And it happened after a while that the brook dried up because there had been no rain in the land. Then the word of Yahweh came to him, saying, Arise, go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon, and dwell there. See, I have commanded a widow there to provide for you. So he arose and went to Zarephath. And when he came to the gate of the city, indeed a widow was there gathering sticks. And he called to her and said, Please bring me a little water in a cup that I might drink. And as she was going to get it, he called to her and said, Please bring me a morsel of bread in your hand. So she said, As Yahweh your God lives, I do not have bread, only a handful of flour in the bin and a little oil in a jar. And see, I am gathering a couple of sticks that I may go in and prepare it for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die. And Elijah said to her, Do not fear. Go and do as I have said. But make me a small cake from it first, and bring it to me, and afterward make some for yourself and your son. For thus says Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, The bin of flour shall not be used up, nor shall the jar of oil run dry, until the day Yahweh sends rain on the earth. So she went away and did according to the word of Elijah. And she and he and her household ate for many days. The bin of flour was not used up, nor did the jar of oil run dry, according to the word of Yahweh, which he spoke by Elijah. Note that we are told numerous times the word of Yahweh came to Elijah. Elijah sought to have fellowship with Yahweh, and he listened to his voice. For both the big and powerful ministries, like going to Ahab and saying there's not going to be any water on the earth, but also for the mundane things, like go live near the brook Cherith, go see the widow of Zarephath. Elijah earnestly believed that God would close up the heavens, except that Elijah's own word Elijah earnestly believed that God would provide for him by ravens. Elijah earnestly believed that God would provide for him by a Gentile widow. How do I know that? How do I know that Elijah had faith? Because as we saw yesterday, again, his faith was evidenced in what he did by his works. He obeyed and did what God called him to do. He earnestly believed. He prayed earnestly to Yahweh, believing by faith. And so he was able to stand before Ahab, knowing that Yahweh would protect him before this king, and that the king would be able to do nothing to him, because he was in the hand of the mighty God. He knew by faith that God could make ravens bring him sustenance, and indeed, that's exactly what happened. And as the brook Hareth dried up because of the drought, which he called upon himself, he knew that God could provide for him even through a widow. Even then when he got there and the widow said, I don't have anything, he knew that God was going to do it in a miraculous and mighty way. Do you earnestly believe that God will empower you to accomplish what he has called you to do? Pray earnestly. Pray believing. And then have a blessed day.